Welcome to House Appropriations Subcommittee on Higher Education and Community Colleges. Clerk, can we please take the roll?
Thank you. Chair Stuckloff.
Present.
Representative Morgan.
Present.
Representative Weiss. Representative Price.
Here.
Representative Skaggs.
Here.
Representative Kuhn.
Here.
Representative DeBoer.
Here.
I'm sure you have a quorum.
Thank you. And Representative Price calls for a motion to approve the minutes of the subcommittee on February 29th, 2024. Minutes are approved without objection. Here today, we have to present on some of the amazing opportunities we have here in the state of Michigan, predominantly including our scholarships that students have been able to take incredible advantage of. So first, we have President Corey here from University, if you want to come on up with your students. And if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourselves as well. Thank you.
Start,
Hi, my name is Landon Cooley.
Hi, my name is Isabella Tiarina.
And I'm Stephen Corey, the president at the University of Olivet. Thank you, Chairwoman Steckloff and members of the committee for inviting me to testify before the committee on the vital importance of the Michigan tuition grant and what it makes, making it college affordable for thousands of students and families from every legislative district across Michigan. I'd like to begin my remarks today by taking us back to December 8th, 2022, a landmark moment for higher education in Michigan, when Governor Whitmer joined me at Sexton High School here in Lansing to announce that we had achieved free tuition at Olivet, and what we both hoped would be the case for other colleges and universities across the state. I began by acknowledging that this was only possible because of the leadership of Governor Whitmer and the Michigan legislature in partnership with us. The Michigan Tuition Grant and the Michigan Achievement Scholarship helps the University of Olivet close the gap in college affordability, putting a quality, relationship-based college education within reach for deserving students, especially for first-generation students and those from low and middle-income backgrounds. Because of this, on that day in 2022, the governor and I announced the Olivet Advantage Scholarship, making the University of Olivet tuition-free for Michigan students who receive the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, the Michigan Tuition Grant, and the federal Pell Grant. That's right, tuition-free. Traditionally, this will mean about half of the Olivet entering class will be tuition-free. For students who may not be Pell Grant qualifiers and whose family's income is $100,000 or less, tuition does not exceed $5,000. For 180 years from day one on our founding in 1844, we were the first in Michigan to admit women and persons of color on a co-equal basis with white men. Olivet has made a college education accessible to anyone regardless of gender, race, or financial means. The founders wanted to be sure, as we do today, that an Olivet education is available and accessible for every family in Michigan. That Olivet defines itself by who it includes and not who it excludes. The University of Olivet pledges to remain firmly rooted in our founding mission to make a college education available by investing millions of dollars in university-funded financial aid. The Michigan Tuition Grant and Michigan Achievement Scholarship, when combined with other aid, including Olivet aid, is a game changer for Michigan students and families. 100% of students at Olivet receive university financial aid, and 62% of currently enrolled students receive the Michigan Tuition Grant. 72% of current first-year students received the Michigan Tuition Grant. This is a powerful and impactful program. In the words of Governor Whitmer on December 8, 2022, when she captured it best, quote, "Olivet was the first college in Michigan to admit women and non-white students on an equal basis, and they've been changing lives for generations. And they are once again setting a powerful example. So I, the governor, I am so grateful for the collaboration to make college more affordable. Every month, parents and students have difficult conversations about college. Our kids wonder if they're going to be able to go and how they're going to be able to afford it. They worry about working full-time and juggling classes in life, or the potential of taking out a lot of debt just to get the skills to get the job that they hope to pursue. These difficult conversations happen around kitchen tables all across our state, but we are changing the nature of those conversations with actions like this today. We can make these conversations more about what classes they're excited to take, what businesses they might start after they graduate, and then argue about how often a week you're going to call your parents, as opposed to how we're going to afford just to make this happen." She then concluded by powerfully saying, quote, "So today, Olivet is leading by example. I, that is the governor, hope every college across Michigan is taking note and seeing how they might replicate this." Since Olivet's announcement on that day, 9 other independent colleges and universities have announced free tuition programs built on the strong combination of institutional financial aid combined with the Achievement Scholarship and the Michigan Tuition Grant. Eliminating the Michigan Tuition Grant will force Olivet to discontinue its free tuition program. We simply cannot make up that difference, estimated at $1.6 million per year and expected to grow to $2 million per year within the next couple of years, given our enrollment trends. I expect other independent nonprofit colleges and universities will be forced to do the same. In fact, 5 other independent colleges were slated to announce similar programs for fall 2024 and have now suspended those plans as a result of the governor's proposed elimination. Notably, one independent college board was meeting to approve their program the day of the governor's announcement and had to pull it from the agenda. 1% for 20%. 1% for 20%. The independent colleges and universities of Michigan, through aid to support students, receive 1% of the Michigan higher education budget and produce 20% of the degrees Michigan needs. This is good policy. This is a good investment in our state and in students and families. We can afford this. We must continue the Michigan Tuition Grant program to drive the future we need. Chair Steckloff and members of the committee, thank you again for inviting me to provide testimony today. I'd now like to introduce University of Olivet students Landon Cooley and Isabella Tiarina to share a few words about their college story and the impact of the Michigan Tuition Grant.
Good morning, Chairwoman Steckloff and members of the committee. I am Landon Cooley, as I said before. I'm a criminal justice major at the University of Olivet with a concentration in corrections and a minor in social work and policy. I'm a junior at the University of Olivet, as well as a part of the Gospel Choir, the Criminal Justice Honor Society. I'm the president of the Black Student Union at the university, a resident advisor, a vice president of the Olivet's Angels, which is a praise dance group that I was able to create on campus, and as well as an esteemed member of the President's Leadership Institute fellow. The Michigan Tuition Grant has helped me with the opportunities to do these things and become a student leader on campus. Growing up, I never knew what school I wanted to go to. I didn't know what school I really wanted to go to or afford. I didn't think I could make it because of the hands that I was dealt with in life. But choosing and attending the University of Olivet was one of the best decisions of my life. And this wouldn't be able to happen without the Michigan Tuition Grant. The Michigan Tuition Grant has had a major positive impact on my future, on my career, and on my life. And yes, while it's only used for the time I am at the University of Olivet, Got you. This grant will have a lifelong impact, helping me achieve my degree and build a successful life. Many people my color don't have the same opportunity that I do, and the Michigan Tuition Grant has helped me take advantage of that opportunity by going to college and receiving the skills and the knowledge that college provides. And I don't take this opportunity for granted. I recognize the special opportunity, and that's why I'm going to use this Michigan Tuition Grant to gain the education and skills that the University of Olivet has given me, and then give it back to my own community to support and advance the thriving Black community that we are. In closing, I encourage you to support and continue the Michigan Tuition Grant so that I and other students across the state can achieve our goals and make a positive difference in our communities. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Steckloff and members of the committee. My name is Isabella Tiarina, and I'm originally from Redford, Michigan, and I'm a senior at the University of Olivet, majoring in biology with a concentration in pre-veterinary medicine. I'm a part of numerous clubs and organizations on campus, but my most important positions are being an apartment manager, resident advisor, being our ISC Inter-Society Council Greek Life president, and student ambassador. I appreciate your invitation to join you here today to discuss the proposal of eliminating the Michigan Tuition Grant and to tell you why it is so crucial for my peers and I. To start off, I have a younger sister who is also at the University of Olivet, and because of this grant, we both have been able to attend college at the same time. Without it, this might not be possible. This grant has allowed my family to provide my sister and I an education while being able to prepare for my little brother, who is a junior in high school and will be graduating next year and navigating his own college career. The Michigan Tuition Grant has also helped me be able to afford all books and materials I needed while also allowing me to become part of all of these numerous clubs and organizations that I am in. With the Michigan Tuition Grant, I've also been able to prepare for my after-college plans, such as going to school to be a veterinary technician and engaging in multiple internships. Since my time here at Olivet, I've had social interactions with a lot of the students at the University of Olivet, including with visiting prospective students due to the various positions that I hold. I have heard a lot of chatter on this topic of the proposal to eliminate the Michigan Tuition Grant, and key words I'm hearing are worried, stressed, and uneasy. For many of my peers, the Michigan Tuition Grant is the deciding factor on whether they can attend college or not. As well, as we all know, college is expensive, and a lot of students are coming from all different backgrounds and all different financial situations. I consider my family working middle class. My dad is a police officer and my mom works in the court, and it is stressful and challenging for my family to find ways to make sure that we can afford it. The Michigan Tuition Grant has not only helped my family tremendously, but others as well. I respectfully ask that you take these things into consideration and ensure that the Michigan Tuition Grant is sustained, as this will affect families now and even more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Landon, Isabella, for telling your story. Do we have any questions? Representative Price?
Thank you, Chair Steckloff. I'm curious, how many students qualify for the Michigan Tuition Grant?
If you're asking about Olivet,
Fantastic if you have that answer. If you know more generally, or if there's somebody in the audience who knows, I'd love to just have that context.
there is someone in the
I'm
audience.
sure. I'm sure we have somebody.
15,000 students across the state of Michigan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Rep. Price. Representative DeBoer?
What was the date of that visit to Olivet with that great announcement?
Yeah, we did the announcement here in Lansing at Sexton High School on December the 8th, I believe I said, in 2022. This was after the Michigan Achievement Scholarship had been completed, and we had the opportunity to understand how far that closed the gap for the students I described, and we were able to then meet that full need for tuition.
That was a bad day when you picked up the newspaper. Yeah, I just so appreciate you students coming in today. Landon and Isabella, your stories are so inspiring. and that you're wanting to give back to the world, that you're pursuing courses of study that fit who you are, and that you want to make a difference, that you're learning how to lead because you're working with all different kinds of groups of people and taking leadership in that. You know, that's great. I mean, Landon, you remind me of a Renaissance man. You have the soft and the hard skills of life, you know, and you're doing both the arts and the science. And that is what we need in the world of criminal justice and understanding the problems that are coming on the horizon, you know. And Isabella, you're just giving back, and I can't wait to see you in a veterinary clinic somewhere helping mostly the people as you take care of the animals, and you'll have those skills as well. So it is so important for kids to have the experience of working with people on campus in a college setting, and so it's very rewarding to hear you, and we really want to help you in your pursuit and in your college. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you, Representative DeBoer, for your remarks. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Corey, Isabella, and Landon, for coming in and sharing your story.
Thank you.
And welcome to the Michigan Legislature.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Charles Cotton, Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management at Western Michigan University, for a presentation on scholarships. Welcome, Dr. Cotton.
Good morning. Thank you all for having Western Michigan University join you all here today. My name is Charles Cotton. I serve as the Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management at Western Michigan University. Equally important is that I'm a proud Michigander who hails from Southfield, Michigan. I was very excited back in 2022 to hear the words come from our governor regarding the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. At that point in time, I had just arrived back to the great state of Michigan to serve at Western Michigan University as the Associate Vice President for Enrollment. I was excited for what this meant for folks like me who are first-generation college students who were oftentimes unaware of if this pathway was something we would be afforded. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship has been a wonderful contributor to the financial well-being of our Michigan students. The scholarship has contributed greatly to Western's own mission of being an access-oriented institution, and it has strengthened our efforts to reduce the debt our students face and further ensure that they're able to persist and graduate. WMU in recent years, thanks to the realignment of our own internal spending, the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, as well as with the great support of our donors, have been able to significantly increase our financial aid distributions via several different efforts. Thanks to the Michigan Achievement Scholarship and our Empowering Futures gift, we were able to create the Bronco Promise, which was our own commitment to students and families making less than $50,000 adjusted gross income and $50,000 in net assets to go to Western Michigan University tuition free. Knowing that tuition isn't the only expense that students face when entering the collegiate space, we intentionally created another program called Broncos Connect, which is an opportunity for students to not only receive some programming, connect with their peers, but to also see a significant reduction in the cost of housing and meals on our campus as well. This was coupled with additional awards called our Tenacity Scholarship and our Presidential Completion Grants for upperclassmen students who oftentimes would run into unexpected expenses as life at home may change, as job loss sometimes would occur, to ensure that those who have been on a successful pathway to graduate from WMU were able to do just that. We were able to increase that threshold by more than $800,000 in a singular year, and that realignment was largely due to the fact that we received, again, external funding, but as well as being a recipient of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. In addition to some of those programs I just mentioned, we've had long-standing programs that have also benefited from these additional gifts. Our foundation scholarship for high-achieving students who show significant levels of financial need are afforded a full tuition experience at Western Michigan University. This is in addition to our CETA Scholars Program, which are for foster care youth at the university who receive about 40% of their cost of attendance directly from the institution. This has resulted in 46% higher graduation rates than the national average for foster care youth. As an access-oriented institution, we strive to continue to mitigate our tuition increases, which has resulted in us landing firmly in the middle of the pack when it comes to tuition pricing. However, we know that not only has the cost of a quality higher education experience risen, so has the cost of most things impacting our students and their families' daily lives. This has resulted in an increased strain on many Michiganders' ability to afford a collegiate education. At WMU, we have already distributed Michigan Achievement Scholarship funding to 965 students this past fall and spring. This has allowed us to get further in closing some of those fiscal barriers many students experience. Our Bronco Express team, which are a group of our frontline financial aid staff members, have shared that many students have commented and thanked us, as well as the state legislator, for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, as well as the various other WMU awards that have allowed them to not only reduce, and in some cases, cancel their student loan needs altogether. They have stated that they were relieved that college was more affordable than they anticipated. Our hope is through continued service, outreach, and promotion that we're able to share those stories with prospective students all across our state to know that they should be completing a FAFSA, that they should be applying to colleges and universities, and they just might find that not only is there one place for them, but there are many across this state who have been committed to the fiscal backing of their collegiate experience. While these experiences are and have been heartwarming for many of us around campus, we do look forward to our continued effort to identify more ways to further reduce those fiscal barriers for our students. And we also look forward to further investment in state capital outlay and asset maintenance so that we are able to continue to compete and attract the best students to learn, work, and live in the great state of Michigan. While we are grateful for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, the magnitude of the new awarding procedures have placed an additional strain on our financial aid staff to administer the award, as the process is largely manual. As we navigate the first and last dollar state requirements, it would be very beneficial if the award could shift to a fully first dollar commitment. As we know, many students at Western alone receive both first and last dollar distributions. One additional thing we look forward to, in addition to the continued investment in Michigan higher education, is to review to see if the roster for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship could be released earlier so that we're able to further our access and outreach to families and provide awareness even earlier to assist them in that college-going mission. As we know, awareness is key to decision-making and picking pursuits, whether that's a 2-year, 4-year, or pursuing a career directly after high school. Thank you all for your time today and for your continued and enhanced investment in the future leaders of our great state.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. As someone who also worked in enrollment management, you're the front lines for so many students. And with the rollout of the federal FAFSA, I know how difficult it must be for your financial aid officers. So please let them know that we're thinking about them. And do we have any questions? Oh, Representative DeVore.
Chatty Cathy today. I am wondering, it struck me that in Highland we had this bad news building that nobody wanted to invest. That was the city's building, and it took us 60 years to get the inertia to get that fixed, remodeled, and then all kinds of private investment happened around it. And it's been great for the city. But it reminded me of your comments that when the state steps up to fund, like this Michigan tuition grant, there are other philanthropic pursuits and other kinds of ideas that are birthed, and people feel like, oh, you went first in helping. I guess that is the state says this is a cause worth giving to, and then they step up to say, yeah, maybe I should give too. What would be your estimate on the amount of money that has been contributed because of the state stepping up first with Western?
That is a great question, and one I will have to get back to you on as we touch base with our advancement colleagues who actually would have some of those testimonies directly as they work with donors and other community members to figure out what that investment looks like.
Because it reminds me of the Olivet story as well. It's not that the university just says, thank you, state, goodbye. They say, thank you, state, and we want to keep making this possible, and we want to add the other pots of money that will give this student hope and give them a strong foundation in this school.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one of the other things that the state support did is it allowed us to think differently about how we would support students, right? How we're able to redistribute aid to continue to close those gaps where we had been limited in so many ways prior, so thanks.
Yes, so the loss of this funding is not just the funding, it's also all the donations that came because the funding inspired them. So we'd love those figures as well from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative DeBoer. Any other questions? I have a question for you, and it may be a leading question, so I'm going to try and phrase it the right way. With Pell being refundable, and if we were able to get the Michigan Achievement Scholarship first dollar before Pell, do you have an idea of how many students that might choose to be full-time that are currently part-time, knowing that they now have money for housing and tuition and family care and things like that?
That's a great question, and something that, part of the testimony I've heard from students firsthand, right? The beauty to Pell dollars is that it does not just go to the cost of tuition, that those dollars spill over into housing and other need costs. We can also get you some specific data on how many students have remained part-time, even with the addition of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, and also what that transition has looked like over the past several years of allowing more students to pursue a full-time education and ultimately reduce that opportunity cost of remaining in of the continued pursuit of an undergraduate degree. In short, though, I think the larger appeal to the first dollar piece is it makes things cleaner. The messaging is challenging to families. As we continue to refine how we want to communicate our Bronco Promise Award to students, not many families know their AGI, right, or know what their asset costs are. And so having a more complete picture of how we might be able to assume state-appropriated aid as well as some other sources might allow us to get to something that's a bit more layman for families so that they know as soon as my child enters 9th grade that college is accessible to them and not trying to figure out with my accountant whether or not we actually meet that threshold in that senior year.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Any more questions? All right, thank you for your testimony, really appreciate it. Next up, we have Dan Eichinger, and I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Vice President of Government and External Affairs, and David Welslick, a student from Ferris State University, for a presentation on the Tuition Incentive Program. Welcome to the Michigan Legislature.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Good morning to you. My name is Dan Eichinger. You said it perfectly. Thank you. I am Vice President of Governmental and External Affairs at Ferris State University, and I bring to you the greetings of our President, Dr. Bill Pink, who wanted to be here today and presenting alongside David, but is traveling out of state. I'm going to try and keep my comments brief this morning so that David can share with you his experiences with the Tuition Incentive Program. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity for giving our students today the ability not just to be spectators to their democracy, but to actually get to participate in it. So thank you for that. We also have with us today Nick Palmer, who's the TIP Scholars Coordinator at Ferris State University, and we are joined by David's parents. His family are here, and then we've got the David Welslick fan club that's watching from Big Rapids this morning online. Ferris State University was founded in 1884 as the Big Rapids Industrial School by Woodbridge Nathan Ferris, an educator, a humanitarian, and statesman who would go on to serve as the governor of Michigan, a U.S. Senator from Michigan, and in 1924 was briefly in the mix to be nominated for President of the United States. In 1884, locating an institution of higher learning in Big Rapids was by no means self-evident. But for Woodbridge Ferris, it was the perfect place to demonstrate the transformative power of an education and to democratize access to higher learning that was all too frequently inaccessible to far too many. Big Rapids was a lumber town, and as the boom was starting to bust, the daughters and sons of the lumberjacks needed options and opportunity. Enter Mr. Ferris and his school. 140 years later, we continue to offer career-ready degrees that connect students directly with the skills, the training, and the education they need to be successful in the contemporary workforce. And we are extremely proud that an education at Ferris State University through a variety of programs like the Tuition Incentive Program makes a college education accessible to anyone. In 1916, as he was concluding his second term as governor of Michigan, Mr. Ferris said, "My plea in Michigan, and it will be my plea to the last breath I draw and the last word I speak, is education for all children, all men and all women of Michigan, all the people in all the states, all the time." Those same words, spoken over 100 years ago and just a few steps away from where we are sitting, are the same words that ignite our passion for serving our students today. We enroll students from every county in Michigan, and among our graduates, over 92% choose to stay in Michigan after they have completed their degree. So when public dollars are invested in the students of Ferris State University, that investment doesn't leave for California, or New York, or Colorado, or Texas, or Florida. It stays right here. TIP is a state program for students in grades 6 through 12 who are Michigan Medicaid eligible for 24 months in a 36 consecutive month period. And it is an incentive for students to complete high school and continue to college by pledging to pay for tuition and fees for an associate degree or certificate program, as well as up to $2,000 toward a bachelor's degree program. TIP is critically important for making college accessible and affordable. This year, Ferris State University enrolled 1,621 students with TIP, nearly 1,200 in the Phase 1 associate's degree program and over 400 in the Phase 2 bachelor's degree program. 44% of our TIP scholars are minorities, 60% are female, 69% of our TIP scholars are from outside the state's 5 most populous counties, and over 80% of all of our TIP scholars are in good academic standing, which proves that sometimes all someone needs is an opportunity. Over the last 10 years, our TIP students have earned 3,811 degrees, over 1,730 associate degrees, and over 2,000 bachelor's degrees. And in many cases, those degrees are the instrument that breaks generational poverty cycles, and that degree folder becomes a physical symbol of hope, of opportunity, and reward for hard work, a symbol that for many of our TIP scholars, the vast majority of whom are first-generation college students, proves that the American dream lives in every zip code, on every street, and at every income level. Serving students, and especially serving our first-generation students, is at the core of what we do and keeps us connected to our founder and his vision that accessing education is fundamental to healthy, vibrant, and industrious communities. When we enroll a TIP student, we are committed to their success. We have a full-time TIP coordinator who works with each of our TIP scholars. We have college success coaches for our TIP scholars. We have upper-level students who work as mentors. We have resources, we have services, and most importantly, we have people who are committed to the success of our students because we know how transformative a degree can be, and it works. Because of our commitment to our TIP students graduate, and our Phase 1 graduates graduate at a higher rate with their associate degrees than any community college in the state. And when our TIP scholars graduate, they are ready to serve our state with work-ready associate degrees in the health sciences in criminal justice, in business, in welding, in social work, in dental hygiene, in early childhood education, building construction, and more. TIP scholars right now are building our communities, are providing our health care. They're keeping us safe, and they're educating our children. These programs matter, and your continued support and investment in TIP and in other programs are literally changing lives and uplifting communities. We're grateful for your support of TIP and of the opportunity to highlight for you the impact and success of these programs, which is made possible only through the consistent support of this legislature and of your predecessors. I'm very pleased, Madam Chair, at this time to turn things over to Mr. David Wenslick, one of our TIP scholars and a consummate Bulldog.
Button. All right, thank you for having me. So good morning, Chairwoman Steckloff, Vice Chair Morgan, and Ranking Member Kuhn. I'd like to express a thank you for having me today and allowing me to speak to you as representative of Ferris State University, as well as thousands of my fellow students across Michigan. My name is David Wenslick, and I grew up in the small town of Lapeer, Michigan, and I'm currently a sophomore at Ferris State. I came here today to hopefully offer some insight on the importance of the tuition incentive program with its extraordinary impact on students, including myself. While I was in high school, I never expected to go to college. Although I held the desire for higher education and the college experience, it felt like something out of my reach, something that I could never afford, something that even with the help of my parents could never afford. Well, without putting myself in financial jeopardy, that is. I didn't want to throw my loans on the people who have been supporting me my whole life. College was a thing I had to do on my own if I was going to do it. All the stories I hear of my elders and in my history classes express how tuition rates used to be reliably managed with a summer job at McDonald's and nothing else. How times have changed. Now it's completely regular for students to expect $60,000 or more in debt by the end of 4 years of school. Hearing these statistics genuinely made me consider the Marines, but after a few conversations, I realized that's something I wasn't willing to do. So anyway, what were my options? Working excavation until I retire, join the military and serve as my grandfather did, or figure out how to play the game of college tuition. So why am I at college? Quite simply, because of TIP. It was my senior year in high school when my counselor brought me into his office to try and convince me to go to a university to continue my education. But I told him exactly what I'm telling you now. College meant debt, and debt was something I could not afford. I thought going to college was only worth it for those kids who dreamt of being doctors or surgeons or engineers or lawyers. Higher education didn't seem like it was meant for small-town kids whose interests took them in many different directions. It wasn't until my counselor told me about the program called TIP that would pay for associate classes at a university. I had no clue such a program existed. When he told me about it, I still wasn't even sure if it was real. It was just so dead set in my mind that I wouldn't be able to afford school. I even took a year off after I graduated in 2021. I thought if I spent a year traveling in the country to find a purpose, I'd find a direction to take. Well, I didn't do much traveling. My parents didn't think it was smart for an 18-year-old to travel alone around the country during a pandemic, which is completely fair. Then one day, my friend and I, who also happened to be a TIP student, he also took a year off for similar reasons as me. We discussed how we had to get out of the house, we had to do something with our lives. So what were we going to do and how were we going to do it? We found Ferris State, a highly accredited school that we could both somehow possibly afford. I thought it was too good to be true, and how did I not find any of this out earlier? For me, because TIP would pay for associate's classes, I could then work all throughout the summers, make as much money as I can, and then dump that money into housing without having to worry about paying for classes. And by doing that, I've been able to scrape by without taking out a single loan. And for that, I'm extremely grateful and proud of myself. I've been a student at Ferris State University for almost 2 full years now, and without TIP, none of it would have been possible. While a student, I've participated in multiple clubs and organizations, including Honors, Club Lacrosse, Outdoor Club, and my recent induction to the Student Alumni Gold Club. I've struggled with finding what career path I should take. With TIP, I've been able to take classes that follow my interests rather than what degree I sign my life to. I've been able to study psychology, business marketing, personal finance, human biology, philosophy, creative writing, environmental bio, and music. I've been able to explore multiple career paths with the security of knowing that my time there was spent enhancing my intellect and deepening my understanding of the world and my place in it, all thanks to TIP. I was terrified of borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I still am, With TIP, I can earn multiple college degrees without putting myself in debt. I cannot express how much of a game changer that is for students like myself. By working tirelessly throughout the summers, I found myself able to afford higher education without debt. I consider myself one of the few and proud in that category. I do not take this gift for granted. I am so incredibly proud of myself for paying for my education without the financial support of my parents. TIP has given me a sense of security that, at least for now, I can survive and prove myself as a worthy member of society. I'm not one to boast, but since coming to Ferris State, I've been able to raise my GPA 9 points up to a 3.7 from a 2.8 in high school. I believe there's value in that statement because it shows my commitment and appreciation for my education. After earning my degrees at Ferris State, I plan on entering the workforce with a career in environmental conservation. My dream is to have a job where I'm happy, motivated, and financially stable to have a family of my own. It is my hope that this legislature and future ones continue to support TIP and other financial aid programs that give students like myself the opportunity to attain a college degree and to transform our futures. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you so much for telling your story. Any questions? Representative DeBoer? I didn't even see your name, I just knew.
I cannot help myself. I just love hearing those stories. I just love watching people succeed. It's so inspiring, and I think I know who your parents are. There's like a glow coming from over there, and I just think it's so inspiring to have families that care for each other, that support each other. I really respect the way you approach a decision, that even as a high school student, you're thinking through how am I going to be able to handle the finances of this, facing whatever your situation is, and working it through. But you didn't clamp out advice. You listened and weighed advice and kept thinking it through. And I mean, those are the critical thinking skills that we need in people today. That we realize a problem and we want to figure out a solution, and on the way we don't say, too bad for anybody who wants to give me advice, I'm just going to bullheadedly do my thing. And for you to listen to your parents, not to go all over the country as an 18-year-old during COVID. I mean, that's not the norm. So I just really respect that, and the way that you have weighed all the decisions of your life, and then in doing your best, working hard, taking responsibility for what you've chosen to do, and then with a sense of wanting to give back. That's the highest hope when students are given help, that it will inspire them to have a give back sense, a sense of gratitude in their heart, and want to give back to the world and use what they've been given, the tools that they've developed, and the passion that they've been able to find and grow to make the world a better place. And so I just wish you all the best as you continue to use these skills that you are honing, and that you will keep telling your story to inspire other kids that don't give up. Don't say that's the end, and don't say that's as far as I can go. You can give them hope with your story, and I'm confident that wherever you go, you are going to be a leader, and that you will lead a family and children that give back to the world as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Morgan?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you guys for being here today. I really appreciate Chair and Dan and others bringing students to talk to us. As somebody who was a very passionate student advocate at Northern Michigan University when I was in school, frankly, most of the times that I come up here, we were protesting because there were scholarships being cut at that time. And it was very frustrating and a really tough time to see our state kind of disinvesting in the work that we were trying to do as students, as compared to today, where we're trying to invest in some of these programs and invest more in scholarships for student aid. Hearing the stories of these students, I think it really highlights what these programs mean. We have a lot of competing priorities up here, but I have long believed that investing in students and young people should be one of our top priorities for all of the reasons that you all shared about your stories and how that helped you get to where you are today and where I hope it will lead you long into the future. You know, hearing about TIP and the Achievement Scholarship, I really believe a scholarship gives hope. It's this hope that somebody believes in investing in you. Somebody believes that you are worth spending the resources and investing in, and in this case, it's the state of Michigan investing in you, to say that we think you are worth what it takes to succeed, and we want you to stay here and grow here. And I just am so inspired by your stories. I wasn't a student all that long ago, but it is still extremely helpful to have that reminder, because it's tough to make sure that we're providing the resources for these things. And so I guess the piece that I just want to mention is, you made a really important point about how expensive everything else is in addition to school. And because the state divested in higher education over these years, school has gotten a lot more expensive. I guess I'll say more candidly, it's frustrating sometimes when there are folks who say we should be able to work a summer job and pay for school.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in maybe a couple years. Maybe people are finally realizing that that's not possible anymore. But I also worked, my family said, we don't have a lot of resources, we don't have much money to help with school, but you should go to college. And I said, well, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And we were able to figure it out thanks to scholarships. But we really should be looking at further investing in these things, eventually getting to a point where everybody has the chance that our students on TIP have to attend at least 2 years of college free, or 2 years of a program, whichever one that is, to get ahead. So this really isn't a question, it's a lot more statement, but I just want to tell you how important your testimony is, how important that you guys are to our state and to the work that we're doing here, and it really means a lot. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Morgan. And David, I do have to let you know, I think I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. It's
enough.
very normal. I think you can tell from all of us up here today that this was probably one of the most inspiring days we will ever experience here in the Michigan State Legislature. So to David, Landon, Isabella, continue to shine your light. This is why we know that Michigan is so bright, because we have people like you who are stepping up to the plate and giving your stories and providing access to the generations after you. So thank you so much for being with us today. It's truly been inspiring, and I just appreciate you taking the time so much. Thank you. All right, we have no absent members, so with that, the Subcommittee on Higher Education and Community Colleges is adjourned.